Aloha, everyone, and welcome to the next session of Lovelight Speaks, a series that I created to highlight those that have become inspired to be in service to others in some way, shape, and form that they feel is their unique expression that emphasizes their personal strengths and gifts and passion for life. And today, I am so honored to speak with and share with you a dear sister of mine. Her name is Krisitn Brown. And Krisitn is the creator and maker of Imbued. She quit her corporate job after about 12 years in the wellness industry in Hawaii to pursue building a sustainable fashion brand. Her mission is to inspire an eco-conscious consumerism and free-spirited creativity. That mission she named Imbued. Upon moving to Joshua Tree, California, and launching Imbued's first clothing collection of women's robes, which I absolutely adore, her business was halted due to COVID restrictions. What transpired from there shifted the course, but kept her brand mission the same. She discovered a passion for the art of natural dye. When she launched her first collection of natural dye organic cotton bandanas and hosted a small intentional dye setting circle with a few friends and family members, the effect was lasting, and each agreed more people could benefit from such an experience. She knew she had something to share, which forged a new approach to her business. She now facilitates intentional dye setting circles as unique artistic experiences that connect people more deeply to each other and themselves. I am thrilled to bring in my sister. She has always been a very intuitive, bright light, powerful frequency she holds. And when she tunes in, we shall proceed. All right, I think my girl's coming in. All right. Yay! Hello. Here she is. Hello. So this is my beautiful, amazing, star bright sister, Krisitn. It is such an honor for her and I to have this time together and for me to highlight all that she is and all that she's about, what her vision is, because I really believe in my heart that she has such an amazing offering for the world and to really bring us back into what matters most. And that is taking care of ourselves and taking care of one another and taking care of Earth and how that all ties in. So with no further ado, aloha, my dear one.
Aloha, CJ. To be in this moment with you.
Likewise. So after this introduction, I would just love for you to share with others your vision, what you're about, what's in your heart, and how you're manifesting that into this physical experience, what that looks like. Yeah, what you're serving up, because it's some good stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Should I begin?
Oh yeah, rock and roll, girl.
All right. So my mission, I guess, like when I think back along my life, is that creativity is so very, very important. There's so much I want to tie in. Okay, so creativity, since I was a little girl, has been huge. As I became an adult, I more and more was opened up to our connection to the planet, and our disconnect to the planet, actually, more than anything. And then pursued a path in the wellness industry. As you know, that's how you and I met. And that ignited working for such a conscious company, the supplement company that I worked for years. They were certified B Corp, right? So if you're a certified B Corp, that's a third party auditor basically that does all the checks and balances for your impact ethically and environmentally. And so I was really inspired that that's a possibility as a business. But however, in all my years in the wellness industry, creativity was being suffocated in a sense. Like that huge piece, I think it's a huge piece of everybody. I think there's some though that are not willing to settle, and that I consider myself that person. Like I just couldn't take it anymore. I had to creatively express myself, but in a way that aligned with that like earth-centered approach. And so I actually, 6 years into working for the supplement company, had taken agricultural classes at the community college on Kauai. I took two semesters. I did a lot of volunteering on organic farms around Kauai, and I just couldn't figure out how to make ends meet and replace what that job was at the time. And so another 6 years went by. It's 12 years total. And I just, I prayed and prayed and prayed. And one night before bed, this idea came to mind to pursue creating a sustainable fashion brand. But from the very moment the idea was seeded, it looked different than being a normal clothing brand. Mm-hmm. One of the first things that came to mind was I would do limited collections. And it was weird. It almost reminded me of like how real estate works. It's odd, but I could do these collections and then coast for a little while on that income. And in that like interim where I was coasting, I wanted to tie in each collection to a different nonprofit. And so then for my daughter, Francesca, and I, my daughter's now 12, we could go to these nonprofits. I could blog about it and actually show good news happening, not just like a portion of the proceeds, go back to a good thing. Because I think that's becoming a little bit, I don't want to say numb, but we just see it so much. But it's like, but actually showing like videos and like I said, and blogging about it. The first collection that I ended up launching was women's robes. And a portion of those proceeds went to my friend's nonprofit on Kauai, Kauai Animal Education Center. And we did volunteer there. It was incredible. And the other thing that I really wanted as a part of the mission was to have pre-orders. I'm still ready to dive back into that so that I'm not creating a bunch of apparel that's maybe not going to sell, but it's all accounted for already. Right. And then I knew I wanted it to be the most sustainable I could possibly create. And that's an endless mission, just like wellness, when you're really trying to sort out like what are your, like what works best. And options are continuing to evolve too. So when I first launched with the robes, and the reason I don't really actually wear robes very often. I just, as a single mom, wanted to explore my femininity in that, and also connect with women through that creative, sensual expression. And that was another thing when I decided like, how was I going to promote this and market this? I knew I wanted to have women modeling the robes that were friends of mine, or women I ended up meeting along the way. This one woman, Summer, who you might know on Kauai, she does the Summer Snack, I think Shack it's called. Mm-hmm. She may have changed her name, but she does the vegan, beautiful vegan catering. Yes. And I ran into her at the farmer's market in Kapaa. And I was just like, sister, would you want to model like some robes that I'm working on? And she was like, okay, sure. And I explained to her the mission was all about sustainability, educating people on conscious consumerism. That was another huge thing, is that we don't need to just buy, and get that quick fix at Marshall's or, any of those other mass fast fashion outlets. But it's like, you're going to spend more, but it's going to be a really beautiful piece that has a lot of value and aligns with your values. So yeah, so it was funny, like along the way I was meeting these women, and then they'd model the robes, and that way if I promoted them, let's say on Instagram, and I tagged them, you would go to their page and see they're doing conscious things as well.
Right. Love it.
So yeah, it was a way to connect the dots more for myself, as well.
And these aren't just robes. These are more like kimono style, very beautiful, you
They're
know,
very elegant for sure.
very,
I wanted the robes to be something where if you had a guest over, you wouldn't feel strange, like too sassy in it. You could walk outside your mailbox in it. Um, but it wasn't frumpy. Like it really was like
that's exactly the word that was coming to my head, but they're not frumpy. They're so far from frumpy. No, they're exquisite, and I love it all.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the material I ended up choosing for the robes to launch with was bamboo. And it was a good middle ground. Bamboo is not necessarily the most sustainable fiber. It everything has its pros and cons too, as far as the fabric goes. Bamboo doesn't need a lot of water. It's highly regenerative, that is a huge piece as far as being sustainable. But if you think of how hard bamboo is, it takes actually an intense amount of processing to get it to soften up into one of like the softest fabrics people know of. So it's the company that I went through, it's called a closed loop system. So all there's a chemical process to it, and they keep keep reusing the chemicals. Where if that it's actually got a certification on it, and if that certification is not there, then it's possible that it's just dumped into waterways. It's not disposed of properly. But for me, I ended up leaving Kauai to come out to California to be closer to the industry, basically, right? I'm in the Joshua Tree area at the moment, just 2 hours outside of LA. My first round of those ropes were produced at a manufacturer in Los Angeles that I did a lot of research, just very ethical, small, little, awesome manufacturing facility. And I wanted to be closer to researching material. I ended up going to LA Textile Show, and it was cool. And that actually was where I got introduced to natural dye. I did a free workshop there, and definitely ignited that creative spark. And it was with plants. So it just all wove in a lot
Yeah.
of important things to me. And but that I didn't know where that was going to go yet. I just knew I was there to find fiber, and I wasn't impressed with what I was finding. The industry, it really is just flooded with garbage, and it's wild now that I'm more in the know of the different fibers. If I were to walk into, let's say, a Walmart or a Marshall's, I'm just like, it's all synthetic. Like it's like going into a grocery store, right, and just seeing the aisles and aisles of junk. It's
Right. Perfect analogy.
Yeah,
Perfect analogy.
a lot of it's just been watered down. Our food, the artisanship, and clothing. So I knew what I wanted as far as fibers was something more small farmed, because even our organic cotton, there's a lot of organic cotton grown in Texas, but it's still kind of monocropped. It does take a lot of water the way they're growing it, and a lot of land, right? So I knew for now that was okay, but I knew there was something better. And I'm sure there is small organic growers in the US. I haven't found them yet, but I wouldn't be surprised that with the movement, like there's definitely some people doing some cool heirloom growing. But over the summer, I went to Mexico. I had found a couple of women that I reached out to that were natural dyers that connected me to natural textile suppliers in Mexico. And there's, especially in Oaxaca, there's this just beautiful, rich tradition of growing Cayuchi cotton, heirloom cotton to that region. Doesn't require a lot of water. It's grown in these small pueblos all around, like up the coast.
Love
And then,
that.
yeah, it's amazing. And then once a month, they bring it up into the mountains where women, mostly women, they clean it, and then they have just right out in their backyard these looms, and they spin it. I got to spin the cotton,
Mhm.
just like this ball right from your hand, and it actually also is cross cropped when they grow it with native corn, which acts as an incredible insecticide, and it produces food. So I'm like, this is what I've been looking
Love
for.
it.
Like, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then so the women create threading out of it, and then from there, maybe the threading gets dyed naturally, or it just gets spun on these large looms. No electricity is required, and it's made into textiles. And so that, as of now, is where I'm going with creating clothing, like that kind of caliber of sustainability, and like I said, the ethics behind it,
Yeah.
the tradition behind it. That was a big thing from the beginning, is I wanted to be able to show people from seed to sew the process of clothing, so people can
Beautiful.
see there's this whole story, there's many hands involved. um, yeah, so let me back up though a little bit. When I first got to California and I launched the robes, COVID happened like months later. So we got here that July before the December that COVID hit. And during that time period, I had been working with a sample maker out of Los Angeles. So that was another thing about moving out here, was just having more access to people in the industry that could help me make these designs. I wish I could maybe, I do hope to eventually be able to sew my own patterns, but at the moment I cannot do that. So I was working with this one gentleman, and on a crop top. And my plan was to partner with a natural dye artist to be able to dye the crop tops so that I had more variations. Because in order to go into production with one color of robe, I had to have a minimum of 100 pieces.
Wow.
Yeah, it's actually quite a lot. So if I want 3 colors, I need to create 300 robes. And for somebody that's just starting out in the business, it was a little risky. Plus, I wanted to do pre-orders too. And I did. I actually did a successful Indiegogo campaign. I was enough to go into production with 100 pieces.
Get it, girl.
Yeah. And so when it came time for the crop tops, I reached out to a natural dye artist in Oakland, California. And she agreed. She's like, you can come to my studio. I told her she could have like free range as an artist, but I want to help her. I want to learn so that maybe eventually I could do it myself.
Smart cookie.
And she was just so kind, and yeah, just willing to help. Then COVID hit, and she's like, I can't have you at my studio, but I
Yeah.
can teach you virtually. And so we spent hours on Zoom
Mhm.
learning. And I figured, why not do the bandanas? Why not start with a smaller piece of fabric? People are wearing things on their face right now. And so it began. And when I launched my first collection of the bandanas, I invited 2 of my girlfriends, my sister, and then Francesca, my daughter, and we all got together, and I sent out an invitation, and I said, throughout the week, I want you to think of 2 intentions. One for yourself that you're going to share with the group, and you're going to imbue your bandana with that intention. And then the second intention is for the global collective, and you're going to share that as well. And then that one I'm going to sell on the website with your intention stated.
Oh,
And it was
brilliant. Brilliant.
it's just, I needed it. I was really struggling, feeling isolated and trying, being new to this area, and with everything going on with the whole pandemic, I was like, I need this. And afterwards, my girlfriends are like, this is special. And my one friend's just genius with ideas. So she's like, this would be great around the Joshua Tree area. People would love it. You could do it as an Airbnb experience. And I'm like, okay. And it took many months. And I did launch, and that's where I'm at now. I've been doing the intention setting dye circles, but also gearing up to get back into clothing again and just
Oh,
see what happens.
love it. Love it. that just represents and shows like where your soul is seated, you know, and how innate it is for you to be a visionary that sets the bar and that creates community. I mean, I literally have chills, like just even recognizing you of that and saying that out loud to you. It's like it brings me back to some ancient practice, right? Where it's such an honor to be a part of a process that empowers and, you know, uses something as simple as what nature gives us and create something so profoundly beautiful, useful, and, you know, able to celebrate what our intentions are. It's like combining the physicality with the cognitive, with the spiritual, and like sporting it, right? Like being able to sport it, like rock it. And I just,
This is one of them.
I,
This
I
is
love it.
yeah. This is
Oh,
very near and dear piece of cloth.
yeah, I absolutely love it. And I'm so inspired by the tenacity that it's been, you know, it's taken you to, you know, that you've had to muster up to, and the journey, just like you said, from wellness and even being, you know, conscious of self-care to now progressing all into, you know, integrating self-care with the care of our planet and the care of our communities. And yeah, I'm I'm overjoyed that you have bloomed to this state, and you know that you're continuing the vision. uh, I love the small intimate circle uh, essence of it all. You know, I just absolutely love it. And I feel like it's doable, it's practical, and it's powerful. It's so powerful, you know. And we forget when we're so distracted by the current collective narratives that it's so important to be intentional and to bring our focus into what our heart's desires are and to celebrate that in such a way that you're bringing forth. it, it's it's beautiful, just
Thank you.
downright beautiful.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much. I want to say my sister is a huge piece in this too. When I first got here, because I hadn't lived near her in years, and she moved to Colorado, but she was out here for most of the time that I've been here. And I go visit her. I'd stay actually with her in LA during the whole production process. And I
Right.
never forget one night. She's dealt with a lot of mental health issues
Mhm.
quite young and overcome them. Like got herself off of the medication. She's studying to be an herbalist right now. She moved to Colorado for that reason. So proud of her.
Wow.
I'll never forget. We were sitting at her table one night, and she's like, "I really feel," because she was like couldn't really afford um, to see a therapist, and she really had wanted to speak to somebody, and she had put like her own like an advertisement out to collect people together, um, whoever wanted to get together to just to talk about what was going on with them mentally, and like share stories and support each other. And to me, I was like, this is genius. That's really where I feel like collectively we're going. Like, enough with the one-on-one with a therapist. Like, we need to gather together and feel. And that was a huge inspiration with that night. I needed it. I needed to hear I wasn't the only one going through all this, and just have that space with other people and feel together, just feel a lot, just medicine that we can, when we intentionally gather.
So I'm hearing literal sisterhood created and inspired, ignited a vision of a communion of community that was holding the intention to hold space for one another and just explore and express and empower the innate natural wisdom that we have inside of us to
Yes,
come
yes,
forth.
yes.
And oh my God, chills, chill bills. I got chill
I
bills
keep
up
getting
here.
teary-eyed. I'm like, okay.
But now that you are literally infusing that into your business's practice and offering these dye circles. And in a way, I mean, I'm maybe a play on words, but in a way you are allowing, surrendering something within you to dissolve, to die off, so that you can really bring forth this new vision, this new expression, this new you, this empowered state, or at least this state that's been held and loved unconditionally. I love that,
And
right?
literally the first dye circle I did, aside from the one with that launch night, it was so surreal. It was like, it was really, it was actually on Kauai, and it was at Kauai Animal Education Center when I went back to visit over the summer, when I got to run into you again so divinely. And it was amazing because my friend who does yoga on the farm there, um, it was her father and mother that were visiting, and another woman that comes to her yoga classes regularly, and that was the group of us. And I forget her, I think her name was Marlene. She was lovely, she was very bubbly. As soon as she pulled up, she just was chattering away, and I loved her energy. And she had already experimented with natural dye, and there's a few things that were cool. She talked a lot, and I didn't mind it. And it reminded me, though, when I was a rep and I would have dinner trainings, I would get like frustrated if I couldn't keep people like in the flow of my training, because I only had a certain amount of time. This was like, let her talk. We're all here to talk. It was just so nice to not have it boxed in or like strained.
Mm-hmm.
And she was the first one to share, and she started to cry. And I was like, wow, this woman was so bubbly. I was not expecting that. And she's like, her intention was to allow herself to grieve because she had lost her husband. And we all started crying.
Are you kidding me?
Dad, her like 100% Sicilian father, like he's from Italy. Everyone was able to hold space for her and chime in. And it was exactly what I had envisioned, and I felt just like a vessel. It was so surreal. It was like, all right, I'm here. Like,
this is happening. It's happening.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's what I really want our viewers to understand, that when we trust in what's here, and we remain aligned and receptive and just keep going, we get to revel in the result of that. And it doesn't have to be grandiose. It doesn't have to, reach a gazillion people at once, right? It can be so meaningful to just achieve something. And, so take your successes bit by bit, milestone by milestone, and just know that you're serving beyond the purpose of your, what you maybe have set out to do. You're holding space is huge, and creating opportunities for people to go through their processes is huge, right? So it's like, wow, we don't realize as divine creators in human form our capacity to actually physicalize, and what it, like, the ripple effect can be, right? And it's like, believe in yourself.
Yeah. I do want to, and I think I've said this too, like I would love to take some workshops that help me even further hold that space better. But then back to the whole thing with my sister is that you don't need a certification to do it. Like you said, it's a wisdom within us that we all have. And that's the creative process too, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, we really have to take stock in whatever comes our way has been not happening to us, but for us. And it's showing us, like, all the like challenges are showing us what we're made of, right? And ironically, I too have my only sibling, which is a younger sister. And she was also literally for 40 plus years in and out of mental hospitals and in and out of regular hospitals because she was suicidal. And she too went off her medication. And now she too is, doing something amazing and, being of service and empowering others and holding space forever. So it's like the path that we're on, we just have to trust that it's showing us that what we're made of is enough and that we do have something very amazing to offer. And it's every color of the rainbow, right? It's all the shapes and sizes that matter. And to really go deep, get in there, fail, pick yourself up again, dream, fall flat on your face again. It's like at some point in time, there's something that's going to awaken within you that it not only inspires you, but can inspire others and change your life and change the life of others. And I see that it's not about the certification in a like pedigree, outer external world acknowledgement. It's about the certification of what the inner alchemy has been and what you do with it, how you present it, right? Like, yeah, right. Like I've had ridiculous amounts of classes and certifications and, and all of that, but those don't define the actual effect I have on others.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Right. It's the true life circumstances that shaped and molded my heart, not these certifications. Right. Yeah. So it's a beautiful marrying of cause and effect and allowing yourself to be that phoenix. Right. And yeah. So woo, love it, love it, love it, girl. Yeah. And such a beautiful thing again to take off those labels, and take off that like external requirements of what the structures outside of us are so-called saying must be, and just allowing ourselves to be.
I never thought I'd be doing what I'm doing. Yeah, I don't even I know it's dye circles, it's like talk about labels. I'm like, what do I even call this?
Right. Oh, I love it. I love it so much. Woo. Oh my goodness. And I'm just getting flooded with and the whole, you can do so many different themes when you go to the dye circles, like always setting the intention and one for yourself and the collective. That is such a powerful, creation in and of its own. But to be able to do that in maybe focused group style dye circles, right? That's maybe, sacred masculine, divine feminine, but allowing certain high risk teens, there's so many ways that you could, and even little ones, sparking that awareness of I can hold an intention, whether they're 10 years old, right? Or not, it's like, oh, I can hold
my favorite, that age, 10 to 12, where my daughter is now. It's just so fulfilling, because they are open. They're wide open at that age.
And so expressive.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. They're really getting into their signature, their persona and knowing though that's the era that, where that phase where they know themselves and they're being tried by the external world to really stand in their purest expression. And it's why I feel like there's a lot of this movement of, more he, she, this whole culture shifting between, being more ambiguous about the sex or the, feminine, masculine. I think because we are all on a collective level coming to a place of unification where those things really don't matter. Right. And just to be able to express ourselves. All we want to do is be able to, express, explore, celebrate, and allow that to just be the journey, because that's where we're going to discover what does make us unique and where we do feel at home within our own skin. And if we're not empowering that to one another, then, in a way, that's why the world looks like it is in the first place right now, is because that wasn't empowered, that wasn't taught, that wasn't a practice that we were, shown as, in our families and in our, in our societies, pretty much around the globe. That's really, there's always been some structure that's, we've had to like dance to the beat of that drum rather than the beat of our hearts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. In so many levels. I mean, even just back to like the label of a career,
Right. Right. Okay. So let's go into this, because now, others have really seen you, know what you're about. Well, quickly, where are you going? Like, what is the next chapter? Let's tap into the next chapter.
Yeah, I never thought in my wildest dreams I'd be ready to do what I'm ready to do. I never thought I'd live in Hawaii either. I never thought I'd leave Hawaii either, actually. So we leave October 28th in just a matter of weeks to Oaxaca, Mexico, to go live there. And so
Oh,
it happens. It's interesting. I don't know how familiar you are with astrocartography. I think we've talked about this.
mhm, mhm.
Yeah, one of my best friends has studied it, and she did both my daughter and I's chart. And Oaxaca is like a really important place for us. So I'm so curious of what happens. I'm not gonna lie, like I'm nervous, but I also know, I trust that feels like the best next move in so many ways. And for me, my Venus line goes through Oaxaca, and there's a lot to do with like my business and like creativity. And for Francesca, her fate, I forget what planet it is, but it's like her fated destiny line. So like she's been there before. It's a huge part of her life purpose and learning.
Oh,
I know.
how incredibly, like, you can't make that up. You can't
So
make
that's
that
what
up.
my best friend said. She's like, I could not make this up, Kristen. Like, it's just so spot on. And also another line that is near there for her is her mother line. So
Mm,
she's literally going there because of her mother. So that's like a
wow.
big thing.
Wow. And good for you to, I'm happy for you. I'm thrilled. I'm ecstatic for you, but I'm also proud of you for listening, like going within, no matter how outrageous it seems or sounds, or how like unorthodox it might be for anyone else around you. It's like, or even, knowing yourself, is that you're listening and you're
I
following that inner, yeah. Say again.
have to tell you a story as far as listening. The first thing that comes up, I have some stuff in my mother's storage that I moved to my own storage. And just a little bit until I figure out if we're definitely going to stay down there long term. And I'm moving stuff into my vehicle, and outside in the parking lot are these guys, and I could see they were watching me like haul my stuff into my Jeep. And they go, "Do you need any help?" And I was like, "Okay, sure." So when they had asked me to help, they could help me, at that point, the piece of furniture that they helped me move was a antique console from Mexico. It says like Hecho en Mexico on the back. So I just found that, and they were Mexican. They were like Paujana. They're finished with work, hanging out. They actually are movers, and they park the
Oh,
truck there every night. And so I just found that really interesting. They were so helpful. And so they're like, "Do you need any more help?" I'm like, "Oh, not quite sure what what's going next." And that's okay, thank you. And so I do a couple more walking back and forth, and I'm like, can still tell they're like watching me like load all this stuff. So I look over at them like, "Man, it would be really nice if I had a truck." And they're like, "Well, we can help you." And I was like, "Really? Like, I'll give you gas." And they're like, "No, it's fine." Like, literally, they were genuinely just being really friendly. And I was like, "Thank you." So I ended up getting 2 trucks, 2 of them, and like between the 3 vehicles, we were good. We went 15-minute drive to the storage. And at that point, like I'm driving and I'm like thinking, I'm by myself. Is this smart? Like, but my gut tells my na'au, my intuition says these guys mean well, and I'm fine. And and then I just got like this overwhelming sense of gratitude for trusting in that. I got teary-eyed, and right then I drove by this house that had the Mexican flag waving high in the wind. Like literally right there. And I was like, okay, like it's all good. And it was. They helped me and they're like, best of luck to you. And so
I mean,
about
girl,
I was like,
angels,
yeah.
right? Like we are assisted, and that's the, that's another thing. Our soul level is always setting us up for success. And if we're willing to receive and in a receiving state, a curious state, a playful state of mind with whatever we're doing in the moment, then the abundance of, our path is shown to us, and we are literally being facilitated 24/7 if we just allow it and trust it. And I get you. It's like, is this smart? But yeah, it's like, and it also shows you that, that you are naturally a magnet, right? Like you staying in alignment and doing your work, and just even checking boxes with that task of going through all of that. You are a magnet to what will facilitate you, right? I mean, it's a gorgeous example.
I love how it's been words that have replayed since our last conversation. I don't know if it was a few days ago, but you were saying, just, I allow myself to be in the receiving mode of whatever that looks like for my highest, my highest well-being.
Yeah. Well, I remember when we, out of the blue, after years of not seeing each other, and you leaving Ireland, which broke my heart. I'm not going to lie. I was happy for you though. All of a sudden I'm leaving a client's space and house, and you're literally in the same driveway. And we just were like, wait, what? Back up. And we just had such an amazing connect.
I could feel your energy. It was so big and amazing. I was like, what have you been doing? Like, I'm coming with you. Like,
yeah. Thanks, sis. Thank you so much. Yeah, well, that's what happens when you're aligned. That's what alignment feels like. That's what that vibradience, so to speak.
Nice.
One of my clients, like she came up with that word. And I was just like, oh yeah, I'm going to be putting that into use, because it does have that unique essence. But it's true. It's like when we're on fire and passionate and are true to our signature frequency, when we've cleared the distortions and we're allowing ourselves to just be what we're really, our soul purpose has brought us here to be, we're going to have that effect on ourselves and one another. It's like we are emanating that crystalline code of clarity and a sense of like, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, and I'm excited because, you're rocking that. You're so rocking that. And
you come in bumps and waves. I'm feeling it right now. I'm feeling actually really good right now. I've had a lot of downtime recently though, for the past 2 weeks, which has been huge. And I knew that. I knew having that would allow that resonance to come out. Like there's been, since I took this leap of faith, I have also had some of the most stressed out experiences of my life. Just winging it all to the wind to faith, right?
Right.
There's been moments where I've definitely struggled. 100% worth it though.
Well, again, that shows you what you're made of, and it shows you if it's really a passion of yours or not. You can trust it, because once you see the results of that perseverance, you're like, oh yeah, a million times I'd have done this over. Over and over and over again, because I see it, I feel it, and that inner balance and that sense of purpose and that sense of like, I'm here to make a difference, and be fearless about it.
Yes. How it molds your heart, I think was really, resonated with me.
And humbles your heart, right? It so humbles your heart for me. And there is a big exchange with not knowing what that purpose is, to really going, oh yeah, I'm on fire for this, right? Like it ignites every ounce in me, and just letting that be, right? And then seeing the ripple effect going, oh, I'm okay. Now I'm seeing, the affirmations coming. And that's what fuels me forward every day, is the affirmations from those that I work with and those that I share time with, and even those that I cross out of the blue, like pass with, like yourself, and then here we are, right? Celebrating one another just because we're being true to ourselves. And I really feel like if each and every one of us do that, then the world is going to be a constant celebration. And rather than competition, we are celebrating, right? And it's like, yeah, let's shift those gears. All right, so speaking about shifting, here's where we should go into some impromptu, getting to know you a little bit more. So you're going to pick a number 1 to 100, and I'm going to give you a word that coincides with that, and you'll let me know what comes up for you. What does it mean to you? Whatever it is, just share, because I really want people to see not just the businesswoman side of you, but your heart. And so this is kind of what I was downloaded to offer to others, and how. So pick a number, any number.
25.
Okay. Expectations.
Wow. Okay. So, and I'm going to share with you what that means to me.
Yeah, whatever comes up. Like, how does it show up in your life? But whatever's coming up
is why that comes up, and that's a big. Woo. Wow. I don't even know where to begin with that one. So I guess I'll just let it flow and be vulnerable. That's a word that my mom has said to me more than once through my life. Like, I can't meet your expectations. I'm not like, she's an amazing woman. She, who's my soul chose for this journey. But there have definitely been times that I just wanted that, like, kind of homey kind of mom, if that makes any sense. It's just gonna, not baby, but just, I don't know, comfort. Yeah. And she's kind of more masculine, where it's like, just suck it up. You're fine. Dust it off. You don't need to cry. Like, I'm total water sign. I'm a Scorpio. And I also have a Pisces moon. So it's like very emotional. And she's just like very like, no, no time for that. And so when I hear the word expectations, it has been my soul's journey to just accept, right? Just accept. And that word's a big one for me. A really big one. I'm just like constantly having to be like, all right, watch out for those expectations. Like, it's nice to have goals, but accept, really just be in this moment, be grateful for what you have, be grateful for, the mom that you have,
and the mother you can be.
Yes.
With that contrast, right? The mother that it makes you be, because I know Miss Little Francesca, which happens to be my mom's name. Right.
Wow.
And so I get you. So interesting.
Cool.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay, pick another number.
Okay. Well, the other number that actually came up was 5. There's like a whole thing of 5 for some reason.
Okay. Synchronicity.
Love that word. That is one of my favorite words. Yeah, that's life. That is what I like strive for in life. It's just that word gets me excited. It's right next to the word adventure, which is my other absolute favorite word. It's everything we've been talking about, when you allow and you trust and you just see, it's how we cross paths on Kauai. this summer. It's where I am right now, this gorgeous ranch in Morongo Valley, which is right next to Joshua Tree. When I was in Mexico over the summer, I reached out to the women I had rented from for the past 2 years that were selling their property where I was staying, and seeing just like what places were available for me to come back to until we were leaving in October. And it was incredible. Their realtor, who I became friends with, I called. They were like, "Oh, check in with Allison." And then I reached out to Allison. She's like, "Oh, my client Dory, you should check in with her." And it was like we had been friends for years. I honestly feel like she's family member. She reminds me. I see myself in her. I see, even like we look a little bit alike. We're both of Jewish descent. She's about the same age, and just here I am at this ranch that she's going to be Airbnb, but she needed somebody to be here during these months to help with different things like the chickens in the chicken coop. And we talk about synchronicities. I mean, it's wild because on my vision board for several many years, I have like pictures, but I also have words, and the words talk about like having a home with sweeping views. And this property is like the most epic sweeping views of the mountains, and just there's a lot of synchronicities that that abound.
Love it.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So interesting that those two words that you drew towards you, because I'm like neutral here, right? Like what do you think about those two words, the expectation and synchronicities? And they're almost in a way polar opposites.
Yeah, I kind of felt that too. At least, I mean, for me, that was the energy I felt of them, polar opposites. One's like, it's kind of like the yin and yang is how I live my life, for sure. Of like really working through, you know, the lightness and not having such a rigidness with expectations for myself. I definitely have really high expectations for myself that can drive myself crazy. And then just allowing the faith of the synchronicities to happen and being in the flow. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So now that brings me to, I'm going to ask because, you know, I'm getting a word for you, which is balance.
Yes.
You know, so what comes up for you when that is spoken?
I think basically what I was just saying is like allowing to catch myself when I'm being rigid with expectations so that I can be in the flow of synchronicities, and that would be balance.
And do you see balance showing up more and more in your life? Like what's your relationship with that balance?
I mean, at this very moment, yeah, but it's, I mean, just like weeks ago, I felt like things were spiraling, but I also know when the shitstorm happens, so to speak, that it's ready. I'm ready to have some exponential growth. And that's exactly what it feels like. It feels so right on time, right before we're ready to leave to go to Mexico. Like like, I mean, I shared with you, with my family, like what was happening and the divide happening within societies right now based on how you're handling your wellness. It was so intense, and it doesn't feel that way anymore. I feel empowered by the decision that I've decided to take. I feel like I've come to a good crossroads with my family about everything too. So balance is definitely happening as of right now. I mean, even just with Francesca, because we've been home for the past 2 weeks. And I got to help her with her homework today. Did you get the video of her microphone project? Yes. It was so awesome. Just that was, to me, a really special feeling of balance today, of like wanting, because we're in Mexico, she's going to be homeschooled. And that's a big one, is like, she's so social and I don't want to ever inhibit that. And so I'm just, praying that synchronicities abound and I can really hold space and be there for her as a teacher, but when she needs it, and then also be able to connect with other kids in the community. So, yeah.
Beautiful girl. Well, in closing, let's share for those who are really compelled and interested in learning more about you or reaching out to you, what is the best way for people to reach you?
I would say through my website, which is www.imbued.co, not .com. And you can easily email me through there and just check out the story of what I've been doing, and the bandanas and the dye kits, the dye circles, the robes, they're all on there. Soon to be apparel once I get to Mexico. So my plan is actually, we'll see what I do first, but I want to do crop tops like I originally was supposed to do. I'm linked in with this incredible artist in Los Angeles that does screen printing using natural ink. And so he's supposed to come out here. We're going to do a collaboration with bandanas right before we go to Mexico. And hopefully, I'm hoping to also have a few screen prints made that I can put on the shirts. I'm thinking like sketches, like that have something to do with each place I've been. So like maybe one for Kauai, one for Joshua Tree, one for Oaxaca, just like some really pretty kind of like outline sketch. We'll see. And I have like nighties, like really pretty, like shorts and top, and bralettes and panties and flowy pants, all naturally dyed, hand woven fabrics. So we'll
I'm
see.
diving in there. I'm getting, I got that. I got you, girl, on that. Oh, so good. So good to have space with you and to just be in your light. And I'm really, really, really excited for what's to come. You know, your heart is tremendous. Your vision is absolutely astounding and inspiring. And we'll do another one of these in a bit and kind of be like, round two. Yeah. And
around us doing a retreat together.
yeah, no, that's on the mark. And so that's definitely coming up. So what I heard was imbue.co is the best way to get a hold of you. Do you have an Instagram or anything like that?
Absolutely. And it is imbue.co.
Okay.
So I am as in Mary, B as in boy, U, E as in elephant, D as in day.
Got it. Love it. All right, everyone. Thank you again, my beautiful sister.
One more thing I wanted to.
Oh, sure. Let's go. Yeah.
Because I've been thinking about this. Because when we first talked, you had mentioned like if I could leave with one thing to tell people.
Oh, yes. That would be my bad for not even mentioning that.
Yes. That was like my favorite part of the whole thing.
And it's funny.
Really fun too.
Oh yeah, no, because that is in closing what I would love for the people listening, and I haven't been doing these for a while, so I almost skirted out without that, which would be so not aligned. So yes, my dear sister.
It was such a, when you had mentioned it, I was like, it was the first thing. Everything else was kind of like, I don't exactly know what I'm going to say. I know what I'm going to say for that part. And I would say it is, don't be scared to take the leap of faith, no matter what it looks like. And it was interesting because when I was helping my daughter earlier with her project, we had to create a 3-dimensional object that expressed either her heritage or something that she liked. And so we did a microphone. And as we're doing it, she kind of was like, oh, I don't know. And I'm like, we just started rolling things up and taping things. And next thing you know, it looks so cool. And she's like, wow. And I'm like, that's how creativity works. You just start somewhere.
Yes.
And our life is the most epic, creative piece we have to work on. So it's like, it's okay if you're scared. That's totally normal. You just do it. Just go for it, because otherwise you never know. You gotta live.
Yeah, I love it. That's a beautiful message to leave the world. And thank you for reminding me about that little segment, because it does show your heart and your sense of adventure. And I just love it. And you represent that with everything that you do. So apropos. All right.
Literally, when you say that, I'm like, yes, my favorite.
Well, stay in that beautiful vibe, girl, that you got going on. Trust it. I got you. It was such a joy to have you today.
You're just emanating this like beautiful light the whole time with your background. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. We will see you soon. In heart, I'm with you always. Yeah. Stay strong, sis.
All right. Likewise.
Yeah.
Aloha.
Aloha.